Hey guys, welcome back. Today I have a very special guest joining me, and her name is Kelly Haugh. She's a good friend of mine, and she's also a certified holistic health coach. I wanted to have her on the show because I think it's so important to be able to actually follow through on your goals when you're trying to change your life and especially improve your health. So today we're going to be talking about how we can be accountable in actually implementing the new changes that we need to make in our lives, especially when working towards health goals, and that's her area of expertise. So we're going to be talking about strategies for really seeing yourself through on your health goals. So I just want to dive in, and I think a lot of people watching today might have a very basic question of what is a health coach exactly?
Yeah, probably so, right?
Yeah.
So a health coach provides system, support, and accountability to get you to your goals, and often it's goals that you never knew you could even reach.
Okay.
So this isn't for, more information overload like most people already have going on. It's about 20% new information for each person and about 80% of its transformation. So this is really back to neuroscience, and once you start changing your behaviors, then you start getting new neural pathways, which make implementing those behaviors even easier.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a component of actual health education, giving people new information related to, for example, how to eat healthy or how to exercise. But then it sounds like the majority, you said 80%, actually relates to using your brain to hardwire those new habits.
Those new habits in, yeah.
Very cool.
And, that way you're not looking at a quick fix or just changing something all of a sudden that you can't hold on to and keep. This way it's sustainable.
And that's really important because a lot of the work that I do is helping people make changes not only to get over their current health concern, but I always want my patients to be healthier overall for life. And so that requires lifelong habits and changes. So, if you can't, or if you're not able to make new healthy habits and have them stick, it's almost like a fad diet, right? You do it for 2 weeks and then you're going to gain the weight back.
You're right back, or even worse.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Very cool. So I'm interested, how did you become a health coach? What led you to that field?
Okay, well, so it kind of started 12 years ago. I had a baby born who had congenital heart defects. Wow. And so with that came a whole lot of knowledge about the heart and, exactly what the working mechanisms were in the heart and, just all about it. And I learned a lot more about it than I ever thought I would know. So that kind of started off a little bit in that direction. And then about 9 years ago, my daughter was diagnosed with autism. Yeah, and so that kind of right away led us into, doing a gluten-free, dairy-free lifestyle for her and kind of learning about organic foods and GMOs and, then I learned, how many foods had GMOs in them and, that kind of thing.
Wow. And so it sounds like your personal struggles with your family's health really got you interested in the health profession overall.
Yeah, definitely it did. And then a few years back, I personally had a lot of other health issues go on. I had a sudden gallbladder attack and had to have surgery to have that removed.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I was just never the same after that. Led into many more symptoms. I won't go on about all of them. But kind of at the worst, I ended up with like a Parkinson's-like tremor in my head, which was really scary. And then to kind of top that all off was a chiropractor said to me, I think you need to go get tested for MS.
Oh my goodness.
And that really, really scared me.
Yes.
And, especially with my daughter to take care of, just my immediate in my head was, oh my gosh, in 2 years I might be in a wheelchair.
Right.
In 5 years I might not be here. And it was really scary.
Right.
Yeah. So after that, I just was like, okay, I have got to change everything I'm doing. And I did a 180 and I started, eating to nourish my body rather than I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. It was, what is good for my body. And I did a lot of implemented other lifestyle choices that really made a big difference for me.
Wow, so you really did a 180 on your own health. Was there a specific turning point for you where you really saw the results of all of your changes and said, wow, I've got to help other people do this?
There was,
Okay.
yeah. So through much struggle and many, experts, and not finding answers, I finally found a functional medicine doctor who really dug in deep and was looking for what's really going on in my body.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of, the symptom relief, the Band-Aid. And I was so thrilled with that. And just from that then on, implementing more changes, especially for me, a lot of de-stressing was part of it.
Oh, stress is huge.
Stress is huge. Yeah, definitely. So finally I was like, okay, I need to, get rid of some of this stress. I can't just keep taking it in.
Right.
And yeah. So after kind of going through all that, and as I started feeling better and gaining and healing, I'm not healed all the way yet, but I'm healing. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Then I decided, I wanted to become a certified health coach so I could help other people. So they didn't have to kind of, go from doctor to doctor and kind of flounder through like I did.
I love that, and I can relate to that so much because, as you know, that's what led me to naturopathic medicine was my own struggle with health and really not getting answers from my doctors.
Right.
Sometimes we have a set of symptoms that don't fit into a specific box diagnosis,
Oh, yeah.
and it took a lot of detective work on my own. I didn't have a lot of support, and once I figured out the pieces of my own health, I thought, oh my gosh, so many other people are struggling. What can I do to help other people?
Right.
So I totally connect with your experience.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Like I went through all this. Now, I can help other people so they don't have to go through so much.
Yeah. And I think that helps us really relate to the people that we work with because we've been there. We've struggled on our own. So tell us a little bit about why having a health coach is so important.
Okay, so a big reason would be the accountability. I do have, a system, support, and accountability, and I can help stretch somebody out of their comfort zone while supporting them and holding them accountable. And so if they are involved in a program with me and one day they wake up and they're like, I just don't feel like working out, and they're only accountable to themselves, they might just skip it. But since, we're working together already and they know, they're going to be checking in with me next week and, going to be held accountable through me, sometimes that's that little more motivational factor they need, So, and it's different than, just having a friend holding you accountable because, I do see that, powerful vision of the person and what they can become. Whereas your friend is kind of just more like, oh, you should just do it,
right?
Kind of
like
thing.
I'm here to support you.
Exactly, right.
It sounds like you have a system.
It's a system, yeah, definitely. And whether it be my shorter program, like a 28-day jumpstart program, or my longer, like a 90-day program, it's definitely a system in place. And then I can tailor it to each person depending on what they have going on.
Yeah. I love what you said about accountability because I think of my work that I do with my patients in my office. And, very often we have to make lifestyle overhauls. There are a lot of strict dietary changes that might have to go into place, not necessarily forever, but at least while we're trying to heal. Or maybe I want someone to really change the way they're going to bed at a certain time, or, how they're exercising or not. And that's difficult. And so I think the accountability piece is so huge because it won't do any good for me to make these recommendations if people have a hard time implementing them, they won't get the results.
Right.
And, in our office visits, I have limited time. I spend a lot of time with my patients, but I can't check in with them on a consistent basis the way a health coach would and dedicate all of that time and follow through. And I think people get the best results when they can actually implement the changes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think so too.
And so speaking again of accountability, what do you feel are some of the biggest reasons that people don't reach their health goals?
I think it is a number of things. Some of it would be limiting beliefs.
What does that mean?
They see themselves as a certain person, and when they kind of picture stepping out and attaining those new goals, or they may have looked at somebody else who did that. Their belief is, I might not be able to do this. I may be, not be able to carry this out, kind of thing. So that really holds a lot of people back.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love what you said about the limiting beliefs, because whenever I work with a new patient, And I even have a sign in my office that says, you know, you can heal. I
Right.
want to set that expectation from day one, because if they believe that it's going to be a struggle or that they can never recover, that in and of itself can have a profound impact on the actions they take or even their physiology.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I really like that too, because I like that philosophy of, you know, you can heal. You know, you just need to take out the things that are in the way and add in the things that are needed. And everyone is made to heal. And
I love that.
Yeah. That's really powerful.
It is, yeah. Okay, so besides limiting beliefs, what are some other reasons that people might not reach their health goals?
You know, they're stuck in the same old habits or ruts that they've been in, and they just can't seem to kind of move beyond that.
Why do you think people get stuck in ruts?
I think part of it is that brain rewiring and wiring that's going on, and they're just kind of stuck there. People are stuck in their, you know, programming, like, you know, what's in their subconscious brain that they've had going on for a long time, instead of, you know, moving forward. And another thing is, you know, a lot of people have that all or nothing mentality going on, where, you know, kind of, if I can't do it perfect, I won't do it at all. Yeah. Or if they see, you know, oh, that goal is so far out there that, you know, if once I just start even thinking about that goal, I think there's no way I can get there, you know. So either all, I can do that perfectly, or nothing, I'll just stay where I am. Right. You know, and that just holds them back.
Right. And I know I've experienced this in my own life, where something seems so daunting. Right. And so rather than take action, I just kind of freeze, you know, and that's that all or nothing.
Oh, yeah,
it's
definitely.
like, okay, I've got to do it, you know, go big or go home.
Right.
But sometimes it's all about the journey and taking whatever you can do today with what you have right now, that's where you should start.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
So then going along that piece about, you know, why people don't reach their goals, and we talked about this all or nothing mentality that maybe prevents them from taking any action in the first place. Do you feel like a person has to be ready to take that action, or what are some of the obstacles around getting started?
Yeah. Okay, so, you know, ready is kind of subjective. Everyone's kind of in a different place on if they're ready or not, right? But they definitely have to be, you know, they want this, and they have to be willing to take the action steps that are needed for it. So if your desire on a 1 to 10 scale to get your goals, to get to your desired outcome, is at least a 7, you're going to stand a lot better chance of actually, you know, implementing the hard work to get there.
Right, that makes sense.
So sometimes I'll get somebody that, you know, I've talked to on a discovery call, who, when I say, you know, on a 1 to 10 scale, how important is this for you to change and fix? And I might get somebody that says a 2 or a 3. And likely, you know, they're not really invested then in putting in the work and the effort to get where they want to go.
Right. That makes sense. Because if something requires a lot of hard work, but we aren't that motivated, or it's not that important to us, we're probably not going to be consistent or take a lot of action. So then, Kelly, how can someone get motivated or stay motivated if they aren't quite there yet?
That's a good question. So a good place to start is with your why. Why do you want this outcome? You know, why do you want this change to happen? You know, why do you want to stress less, or have a comfortable tummy, or, you know, gain some energy, or lose a little weight? You know, go back to that. You know, what is your motivating factor? Because that's a really big, you know, thing to revisit if you're not feeling motivated.
I like that. And I once read that we're motivated by 2 major things in life. We're either avoiding pain or seeking pleasure. So I think, maybe even making a list of what are my whys, you know, what pleasurable things would come into my life, or what pleasurable things could I do if I took these actions? And then if I removed these painful points from my life, how would my life look different?
What else might open up for me? How could my family be different? My work, my finances, everything could change.
Very powerful.
And then on kind of the flip side is, you could look at, you know, if I don't make these changes, what's going to happen? So like a person who's maybe pre-diabetic right now, if they don't make the changes, they might actually end up with diabetes. Or somebody who's like addicted to sugar and gaining weight, and they don't like that, but they're not too motivated. But if they kind of look at that and say, well, otherwise I'm going to just keep on gaining weight. So it's kind of your why and your why not.
It comes down to our values, right?
Definitely.
What's important to us.
And then just putting that effort into making those changes.
Absolutely. So what else can people do when they're kind of stuck and they're not getting the results that they'd hoped for? Things aren't going according to plan.
Good question.
Yeah.
But yeah. So one thing is to give yourself permission to make mistakes, to fall down, to get back up, and just take one more step forward. That definitely makes a difference. Yeah. Also, if people break things down into small, manageable steps, it just makes it so much easier. And all you have to do is take that next step forward. What is my next step? Instead of looking 3 steps ahead and feeling overwhelmed by it.
Oh, I love that. I was just talking to a colleague the other day about, especially with dietary changes, that seems to be the hardest part for many people. And we were talking about, what do you do when someone is used to drinking 6 cans of soda a day and they crave it and they're almost addicted? Yeah. And so I will honestly have people, I will hold them accountable and I will say, you know what, if you're drinking 6 cans of soda a day, I want you to drink only 5 cans for 7 days. And that's better than nothing. Exactly. Yeah. And then once they're off the soda, it's like, okay, what else can we do that's small and manageable? And sometimes you just have to start there because when there's overwhelm, we tend to want to throw in the towel and then we get nowhere.
Yeah. And 1 step forward or a 1% change, it might feel like it's nothing, but it's not. If you can do that and then add on to that and keep going, you're going the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say a person has decided, I want to make changes, I want to transform my life and have the life that I want to live. What's their first step in setting a goal and really setting themselves up for success from the start?
Right.
What are your best tips for that?
Okay, so the first thing would be, to come up with that goal, setting the goal, and then figuring out, what is my first action step forward with that.
Now, when you say to set up a goal, are there any guidelines that you would give for that? Should they set a deadline, or does it matter how they word that goal?
Right. So you want it to be big enough that it's a stretch for you, but small enough that it's manageable and doable and not feel overwhelming. So, where you feel pushed a little, but you feel supported also.
Okay.
And that's going to be the best way to go about that. And any goal set in the positive is better.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so that would be like, you wouldn't want to say, I'm so fat, I want to lose 20 pounds. You would just go with, I will feel so much better when I lose 20 pounds.
Okay.
So you definitely want to, if you find you're, stating or even thinking about your goal in like a negative tone, then you want to flip that around.
So you don't want to say, I don't want to be fat anymore.
Right.
The goal is, I'm going to lose 20 pounds so I can feel great,
feel
look
energetic,
great, and have energy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's the value-based outcome rather than criticizing yourself.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely don't want to be criticizing ourselves or looking at the negatives. We want to look at all the positives that we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're helping people make really transformational changes in their lives. This is so much more than just being an accountability buddy. This is really delving into psychology and making sure that people reach the goals that they want to reach. So if somebody out there watching were interested in finding a health coach, what should they look for?
They definitely want somebody who has been trained in coaching. So a certified health coach, not just somebody who would say, I'm a health coach. If they've gotten certified, then they have had at least more training. And you would want to maybe look into what is that. I've gone through training in the transformational coaching method. And it's definitely, it is definitely wired in the brain science along with kind of psychology and everything else along that line. So it's really good.
So it sounds like there are so-called coaches out there who call themselves coaches but haven't necessarily gone through the systematic training that you have.
Right, definitely. Right now, there's quite a few people who will call themselves a health coach that really are just kind of, repping a product or that kind of thing. And so for some reason, they end up calling themselves a health coach.
Okay. So. But there's a profound difference between just recommending like a health food bar or a shake versus someone that understands the psychology of coaching and holding people accountable and really has learned how to transform lives.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Big difference.
Yeah. So then if somebody was interested in having a free discovery session with you, what's the best way to do that and set that up?
Okay. So yeah, I do provide that. It's complimentary discovery session. where we find out, what is holding them back or stopping them from getting to their desired outcome. And they can just, I will put a link down below here.
Perfect.
And they can also visit my website. I have testimonials on there as well.
Great. Yeah. So we'll link all of that in the description bar below. I will say I have personally had a discovery session with Kelly, and it was really revealing. Just because I'm Dr. Ashley doesn't mean that I don't have goals or challenges in my life too. And it was so revealing to just talk through, what is it that I want? What am I working towards? And why haven't I taken action yet? It was so helpful in identifying my own barriers around, time management, or even some limiting beliefs around overwhelm and things like that. So it was very eye-opening. So if you have the time, Kelly is a wealth of knowledge. I really recommend reaching out and scheduling a complimentary discovery phone session. You work with people all over, correct?
All over, yeah. It doesn't matter location-wise because it's primarily over the phone.
Perfect.
I can do Skype if people really want to, have that, more face-to-face.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, otherwise phone.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for your time today. This was great, and I hope it was helpful for all of you. We just want to make sure that as you are searching for answers in your health, and that there are changes that you have to implement, and sometimes it's a radical overhaul of habits that are hardwired into our brains, sometimes you need that help, and sometimes we can't always do it on our own. You might need a practitioner to really dig in deep and do specialty lab work, but again, if those recommendations aren't doable for you, or if you feel like they're not doable, I should say, it's okay to ask for help because we are in control of our lives. It's the actions that we take step by step that add up to big results. So thank you guys so much for watching, and reach out and schedule a discovery session with Kelly. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Ashley.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.